pens. Make great gifts. In fact, we heard a story recently about a gentleman who actually paid for his Shopsmith by making pens. Apparently, he set up outside of commencements and other high school events and put up a big sign that said commemorative pens, and people just bought them like there was no tomorrow. Anyway, they do make great gifts, and they're really, really simple to make. I'm going to show you, we're going to actually make one here today. I made this one earlier today, a little bit of cocobolo. It's a very easy thing to do. The pen parts all pushed together. In fact, when you get a pen kit, you could make a pen out of it without any wood whatsoever. The pen gets nice when you actually coat these brass tubes with a little bit of wood, and you do that by first cutting some wooden squares. These are 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. You can make them a little bigger, a little smaller. It doesn't matter. I've cut this from cocobolo. Actually, this little scrap of cocobolo would probably have enough wood in it to make 10 pens. So it's a really nice way to use up your scrap wood. You make the blocks, and then you cut them to the same length or maybe just a hair longer than these pen tubes. These tubes are 2 1/16 inch long, so I cut the blocks maybe a 1/64 of an inch longer. Now when I cut these blocks, I show you something. I match them so that the grain is continuous. In other words, as they came off the saw, I captured 2 consecutive ones, and they fit together like this. Now, I want them to end up that way in the pen, so these are the 2 ends that go together, and I'm going to mark them with a white wax pencil, which I can easily see on this dark wood. If it were a light wood, of course, I'd be using a darker pencil. Now, I have to drill holes in which to insert these brass tubes. These brass tubes are 7 millimeters in diameter. Some pens have 8 millimeter tubes. You need either 8 or 7 millimeter drill bits. I happen to have a 7 millimeter loaded here. Now, I've got this in the horizontal boring position. I've got a wooden block to back this up, and I've made a little notch jig here that I'm going to place on this and hold this down while I'm drilling to keep that up against the miter gauge and up against the wooden block. All right, I'm gonna let me get over here, and we'll make a hole. Now the holes obviously should be in the middle of the board. It's not going to matter if they're a hair off. You don't want them to be wildly off, but since these do get turned down, and you're turning them almost as thin as veneer, a 1/2 inch gives you a whole bunch of wood to work with. Now, we've got to put the brass tubes in the wood and make them stay there. I'm going to use some super glue, cyanoacrylate glue, to do this. Some people prefer epoxy. I actually have no preference. I've had good luck with both. The epoxy, I suppose, would be a little stronger, but the super glue is a good choice also. Both hold wood to metal very well. I put a little bit of super glue inside the hole. Now I'm going to put a couple lines or beads along the barrels, and then when I put these in the holes, I'm going to actually take the barrel and twist it as I'm putting it down there. Just that evenly spreads the glue around and gets me the strongest possible bond with that super glue. You, of course, don't want to get this on your fingers, and, of course, you will, as long as you don't hold on to anything too tightly. It should be okay. But do remember that what makes this super glue cure is water. And since we're all just full of it, it's one of the reasons why super glue bonds us so well to things. Okay, there we go. Now, that's going to take a while. This actually should dry overnight before you let it. The glue there in the middle of the block is going to dry slowest of all, especially in this wood like this coca-cola, which is so dense. It's not going to let in much water vapor for that to bond. So let that dry overnight. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you'll be turning this, and the veneer will start to come off. The thin wood coating will start to come off the brass cylinders. So I'm going to put those over here, and I've got two more just like those that I did last night. And I'm going to take this little tool here. This is a reamer. It's actually a double reamer. It reams out the inside of the block, but it also reams the ends. Remember I told you that I cut the wood a little bit long? This will ream. See, hear that? It cuts the wood even with the end of the brass tube. There we go. Got it loaded there with a little bit of glue. Once that happens, all you need to do is take a little bit of Scotch-Brite and get that off. Let's ream the... There we go. They's both reamed. Actually, this one could use it a little bit more. I haven't quite got it down to where it needs to be. Brass should be nice and shiny there, and it is. Okay, now we're going to put these on the mandrel. Which was, where did that mandrel go? It was right here. Did it fall off when it moved in? Here it is. The mandrel is a piece of tool steel, and it has several collars on it. These collars are the diameter that you want to turn the wood to. And they're there as guides. And from time to time, since they're made out of brass and you touch them with chisels all the time, from time to time they wear out. They get a little thin, and you need to replace them. Put one bushing on the mandrel, then slide the block on. Remember that white mark that I put there? That's facing towards the middle. I'm going to put another bushing on, and then slide this on, and this mark is going to face the other one, so that these things will look continuous when they're on the pen. Now I'm going to put a nut on the top of this. Now I'm actually going to turn this on a power stand. We're doing this just to show you that there are some amazing things that you can do with Shopsmith tools because they are infinitely configurable. And this power stand has been configured to make a small dedicated lathe. Perfect for doing pens. You can also do bowls and other things on it. I would reserve it for little stuff, but let's get that in there. Okay. Now, once that is once the mandrel is mounted in the lathe, you want to tighten down this nut on the mandrel fairly tight. Let me get. I need to get the mandrel a little tighter in here. Because this nut is what prevents these the brass tubes and the little wooden parts from spinning. As you cut them. Another nice thing about using the power station as a lathe is it's got a built-in chisel holder. As you can see, you can store 2 chisels right there. Let me plug this in. It's amazing how many times I forget to do that. You get into what you're doing, and you forget that it's all about the electricity. You want to turn these with a very light touch. I'm using a bowl or a spindle gouge here to shear away the wood. It also helps to have incredibly sharp chisels to do this. If you guys want to tune in for the December 22nd Sawdust session, I'll show you how to make these chisels sharp enough to shave with. Okay. Alright, now I almost have the diameters down to where they're just within a hair of the brass collars. Now at this point I could take it down further with sandpaper. I could take it further down with a light touch on a chisel. But I wanted to show you this trick. This is a little violin plane. They look like toys, but they are amazingly useful. I've had this with me for almost 30 years, and I probably use it on everything that I build. There is no law that says that you have to turn with chisels. Planes work very well, and they cut perfect flats. There's only so much fun you're allowed to have. I better get on with this. As you can see, the plane not only leaves a perfect flat, but it's so shiny you barely need to touch that with sandpaper. In fact, we're not going to. We're going to go straight from here and make the pen. Ordinarily, if I had a little more time, I would probably touch this with sandpaper and then put a finish on it. You can use a hard Canuba wax. That makes a great finish, just a wax finish for pens. And it stays longer than you would think just from the name wax. I also like tongue oil that just applied with a little bit of Scotch-Brite. That leaves a wonderful finish. And of course you can just leave the pen natural and let finger oils. Okay. Now, let me get the drill chuck again. The parts of the pen are pressed into the brass tubes. And believe it or not, right here in the horizontal boring machine, we have a wonderful press that is tailor-made for this job. I'm going to take an old, dull, half-inch router chisel and put it into the chuck backwards and use the blunt end as a press. Now, the parts of the chisel, let's put the white marks to the white marks, and yep, here they are, right like that. Okay, the parts of this pen are the nose, there's a threaded barrel here, which is where you mount the cartridge. There is a bronze or brass ring that goes around that barrel, that threaded barrel. And then, of course, you have the clip and the top that go on the pen. These fit right here in the top, like there. Now, I'm going to hand press together the tip and the barrel that holds the cartridge. Come over here and put them together right there and simply press. And there you go. That's together. I can now put the cartridge in the pen and this little brass ring on. Okay, now I need to do the same thing here with the end of the pen, but since the end of the pen is a little smaller than the tip of the pen, I've got to get all of this positioned on a wooden block. This is one of the 1, 2, 3 blocks that Jim showed us. Now this is a little bit difficult. I'm going to have to get a persuader here. A little rawhide hammer will show them I mean business. There we go. Get that started. And then press it home. There we go. Viola, one pen. And that's all there is to that. Oh.